Welcome students to our new YouTube channel Pharmatech, the division of excellence. Let's start to our new chapter, that means chapter number 7, thermodynamics. In that first we study what is thermodynamics. That means the definition of thermodynamics. The thermodynamics is the study of behavior of energy flow in natural systems. The laws of thermodynamics describe some of the fundamental truths of thermodynamics observed in our universe. Understanding these laws is important to students of physical geography because many of the processes studied involve the flow of energy. Let's learn about laws of thermodynamics. First, the first law of thermodynamics. The first law of thermodynamics is often called the law of conservation of energy. This law suggests that energy can be transferred from one system to another in many forms. Also, it cannot be created or destroyed. Thus, the total amount of energy available in the universe is constant. The Einstein's famous equation describes the relationship between energy and the matter. The equation is E is equal to mc square. In the above equation, energy E is equal to matter m times the square of constant c. The Einstein suggests that energy and matter are interchangeable. This equation also suggests that the quantity of energy and matter in the universe is fixed. According to the first law of thermodynamics, delta E is equal to Q minus W, in which E is the increase in internal energy, Q is the heat absorbed, and W the work done by the system. It is clear from the above equation that an input of heat is usually necessary before work can be done by a system. Alternatively, work done on a system usually is accompanied by the evaluation of heat. Since thermodynamics is conserved with the changes of internal energy rather than a knowledge of the absolute energy value, the finite change of internal energy is written as delta E is equal to E2 minus E1, in which E2 indicates the energy of the system in its final state and E1 is the energy of the system in its initial state. The internal energy of a system is the total energy possessed by its virtue of the presence of its atom and molecules and their translation and rotational and vibrational motions, as well as the attraction and repulsions between each atomic parts of the substance. Although the total absolute internal energy of a system cannot be determined, the amount of energy relative to arbitrarily selected reference conditions can be calculated. However, one thing is certain, that the internal energy of a substance or a system is a definite quantity and is a function only of the state, that means the chemical nature, composition, temperature, pressure and volume of the system at the given moment, irrespective of the manner in which the state has been brought about. For an infinitesimal energy in the energy D E2, the above equation is written as dE is equal to Q minus W, in which the small q is the heat absorbed and W is the work done during the small change of the system. Then next, the closed and open systems. A closed system is one that may exchange heat and work but not matter with its surroundings. On the other hand, an open system refers to a system that involves a transfer of matter in addition to the exchange of heat and work. Let us consider two immiscible solvents, for example, water and carbon tetrachloride contains in a closed container and iodine is distributed between the two phases. If the container as a whole is considered, it is a closed system because it can only exchange heat and work with its surroundings but cannot exchange matter. On the other hand, if the two immiscible solvents are considered as two separate systems, these can be referred to as an open system since they can exchange iodine, that means matter, with each other. The next point is isothermal and adiabatic process. If a reaction is carried out in a system which is kept under constant temperature, the reaction is said to be a conducted isothermal. An isothermal reaction may be carried out by placing the system under consideration in a large constant temperature bath so that heat is drawn from or returned or to it without affecting the temperature significantly. When a reaction is carried out in a such manner that heat is neither lost or nor gained during the process, the reaction is said to occur adiabatically. An adiabatic reaction may be carried out inside a vessel that is thermally insulated, such as vacuum flask. In thermodynamics term, it can be said that an adiabatic process is one in which Q is equal to 0. The first law under the adiabatic condition becomes W is equal to minus dE. According to the equation, when work is done by the system adiabatically, the internal energy decreases, and since heat cannot be absorbed in an adiabatic process, the temperature falls. Under such condition, the work done becomes a thermodynamic property that depends only on the initial and final states of the matter. Then next we see the ideal gas and the first law. Since an ideal gas has no internal pressure, no work is required to be done when the gas expands in order to separate the molecules against their cohesive forces. It can therefore be written as delta E upon delta V is equal to 0. The above equation indicates that the internal energy of an ideal gas is a function solely of the temperature, which is one of the conditions needed to define an ideal gas in thermodynamics terms. Hence, it can be said that for an ideal gas involved in an isothermal process, dT is equal to 0. The change in internal energy, that means dE is equal to 0, and the first law becomes dE is equal to Q minus W. Q minus W is equal to 0, or Q is equal to W. It shows that the work done in the isothermal expansion of an ideal gas is equal to the heat absorbed by the gas. Then next we see the heat constant, that means enthalpy. According to the first law of thermodynamics, delta E is equal to Q minus W. Then Q is equal to delta E plus W. When work is done at a constant pressure, W is equal to P delta V. Then substituting the value of W in the first law, we get Qp is equal to delta E plus P delta V, in which Qp is the heat absorbed at constant pressure, or simply Qp is equal to E plus Pv. The term E plus Pv is called the heat constant or enthalpy H. Thus, the enthalpy of a system is defined as the sum of the internal energy E and the product of the pressure and volume of the system. Enthalpy is a state property and depends on the temperature and pressure of the system. The absolute value of enthalpy of a substance cannot be calculated, but its value relative to some arbitrarily chosen state can be determined. Then next we see the heat capacity. The molar heat capacity of a system is defined as the heat required to raise the temperature of 1 mole of a substance by 1 degree. Since the molar heat capacity of a system varies with temperature, it is better to define it for an infinitely small change of temperature. Thus, C is equal to Q upon dt, where C is the molar heat capacity and Q is the heat required to raise the temperature by a small amount dt. A system at constant volume does no PV work since dV is equal to 0. Therefore, the first law becomes dE is equal to QV. Therefore, the molar heat capacity C at constant volume can be defined as Cv is equal to Qv upon dt is equal to delta E upon delta T. When the pressure is kept constant instead of the volume, the heat capacity Cp at constant pressure is defined as Cp is equal to Qp upon dt is equal to delta H upon delta T. Since Q is equal to delta H, the equation can be written as delta H upon delta T is equal to delta Cp, where delta Cp is equal to delta Cp product is equal minus delta Cp resistance. This equation is known as Kirchhoff's equation. Then next we see the second law of thermodynamics. Heat cannot be transferred from a colder to hotter body. As a result, this fact of thermodynamics, natural process that involve energy transfer must have one direction, and all natural processes are irreversible. This law also predicts that the entropy of an isolated system always increases with time. Because of the second law of thermodynamics, it states that while all the forms of energy can be completely converted to heat, the complete conversion of heat into any other form of energy cannot take place without leaving some changes in the system. In other words, the heat energy can never be converted completely into work, and it is also isothermally unavailable for doing work. The fraction of the heat that a machine can convert into work is known as its efficiency. Let us consider a hypothetical steam engine operating reversibly between an upper temperature T2 and a lower temperature T1. It absorbs heat Q2 from the hot boiler or source, and by means of the working substance steam, it converts the quantity W into work and returns heat Q1 to the cold reservoir or sink. The efficiency of such an engine can be given by the expression efficiency is equal to W upon Q2 is equal to Q2 minus Q1 upon Q2. Since the flow of heat follows the temperature gradient, the heat absorbed Q2 and heat rejected Q1 can be related directly to temperature T2 and T1 respectively as Q2 upon Q1 is equal to T2 upon T1. Then we can write it as efficiency is equal to Q2 minus Q1 upon Q2 is equal to T2 minus T1 upon T1. From the above equation, it is clear that the efficiency of the engine becomes greater when T2 becomes significantly greater than T1. When T1 becomes absolute zero on the Kelvin scale, the efficiency becomes unity and the reversible heat engine converts heat completely into work. Then efficiency is equal to T2 minus 0 upon T2 is equal to 1. However, since absolute 0 is not possible, the efficiency is always less than the unity, and hence heat can never be converted completely into work. When T2 becomes equal to T1, the process is isothermal and the efficiency becomes 0. This again confirms that heat is isothermally unavailable for conversion into work. Then next we see the term entropy. Whenever a spontaneous process takes place, it is accompanied by an increase in the total energy of universe. That means delta S universe is equal to delta S system plus delta S surroundings. Since the total energy in the universe is believed to be constant, all the physical and chemical processes that takes place spontaneously result in an increase in the proportion of energy that is unavailable for doing work. an important thermodynamic quantity that measures the increase in the unavailable energy accompanying the spontaneous process is called the entropy. Entropy may thus can be defined as the capacity factor of thermal energy that is unavailable for doing work, and the entropy changes delta S for the absorption of heat in a system at absolute temperature T in any step of a reversible process is given by the changes in entropy delta S is equal to the total heat energy absorbed upon evolved divided by temperature T. Delta S is equal to Q upon T. The unit is calorie mole inverse Kelvin inverse. For a reversible cyclic process, the entropy change of the total system, that means the entropy change of the system as well its surroundings, is equal to 0. Thus, delta S surroundings heat system is equal to delta S system plus delta S surrounding is equal to 0. On the other hand, in an irreversible process, the entropy change of the total system or universe is always positive. That means the entropy of the system and its surroundings is always increasing. The delta S universe, that means heat system, is greater than 0. The entropy is the measure of the disorder or randomness of energy and matter in a system. Thus, the solid state of substance represents that the highest degree of orderliness of molecules. As the temperature is increased, the solid state gets transformed to the liquid state and the liquid to vapor state, resulting in progressive increase in the disorderliness of the molecules. The impossibility of converting all heat energy into work is due to the disorderliness of molecules in the system. In terms of entropy change, the second law of thermodynamics states that a spontaneous reaction involving a system and its surroundings occurs in the direction of increased entropy. When the system reaches equilibrium, the net entropy changes undergone by the system and its surroundings equal to 0. That means when the system reaches equilibrium, the net entropy change undergone by the system and its surroundings is equal to 0. Then next we see the third law of thermodynamics. The third law of thermodynamics, however, does not lead a new concept but only takes place a limitation on the value of entropy of a crystalline substance. It states that the entropy of perfectly crystalline substance is a 0 at absolute 0 if all the thermal motion of molecules kinetic energy could be removed. A state called absolute 0 would occur. Absolute 0 results in a temperature of 0 kelvins or minus 273.15 degrees Celsius because the crystal arrangement shows the greatest orderliness at this temperature, since it is not possible to attain absolute 0. A better statement of the law is that the entropy of a perfectly crystalline substance approaches 0 as the temperature approaches absolute 0. The third law cannot be applied to supercooled liquids because their entropy at 0 degree Kelvin is probably not 0. The universe will attain absolute 0 when all the energy and matter is randomly distributed across space. The current temperature of empty space in the universe is about 2.7 kelvins. Then next we see the zeroth law. The zeroth law of thermodynamics is a generalization principle of the thermal equilibrium among bodies of thermodynamic systems in contact. The zeroth law states that if two systems are in thermal equilibrium with a third system, they are also in thermal equilibrium with each other. Systems are said to be in thermal equilibrium if they do not actually exchange heat and if they are not already connected by a conductor of heat or pathway for exchange of thermal radiation would not do so if they were so connected. The law implies that thermal equilibrium between systems is a transitive relation which affords the definition of an empirical physical parameter called temperature. The temperature are equal for all systems in thermal equilibrium. The law permits the construction of a thermometer to measure this property. Then next we see the Gibbs energy. Gibbs energy related the energy that can be obtained as work from a process to the change in enthalpy, change in entropy and absolute temperature. Then next Gibbs Helmholtz equation delta G is equal to delta H minus T delta S in terms of free energy and enthalpy. Then next we see the thermochemical equations. A thermochemical equation is the chemical equation for a reaction including phase labels, with the enthalpy of reaction shown immediately after the equation. In a thermochemical equation, the coefficient represents moles and can therefore be fractional. The following is an example: S2G plus half O2G gram is equal to greater than H2O gas delta H is equal to minus 286 kilojoule. In working with thermochemical equation, you will find the following rules are helpful. First, when a thermochemical equation is multiplied by a factor, the value of delta H for the new equation is obtained by multiplying the value of delta H by the same factor. When a chemical equation is reversed, the sign of delta H is reverse. If two thermochemical equations can be added to obtain a third equation, the enthalpy of the third equations will be the sum of the enthalpies of the first two reactions. Then next we see the Clapeyron equation. This equation we also see is in the states of matter. This is most important equation for GPAT exam preparation. So let's see. Clapeyron developed an important thermodynamic relationship between the variables of vapor pressure and temperature between two phases in equilibrium with each other. dP upon dt is equal to delta H vapor upon T Vk minus Vt, since delta S is equal to delta H vapor upon T, where delta H vapor is the molar constant of vaporization, Vv is the molar volume of the gas, and Vt is the molar volume of Vl is the molar volume of the liquid. This is known as Clapeyron equation and it is applicable to a liquid phase in equilibrium with its vapor during the process of vaporization, for a solid equilibrium with its vapor. As in case of sublimation, the equation is modified as dP upon dt is equal to delta H vaporization upon T V minus Vl, where delta H sublimation is the heat of sublimation, Pv is the molar volume of the gas, the Vs is the molar volume of the solid. The equation is dP upon dt is equal to delta H sublimation upon T in bracket Vv minus Vl. Similarly, for a solid in equilibrium with its liquid phase, as in case of melting fusion, the equation is modified as dP upon dt is equal to delta H fusion upon T Vl minus Vs, where delta H fusion is the heat of fusion, Vl is the molar volume of the liquid, and Vs is the molar volume of the solid. For two crystalline forms of a solid in equilibrium with each other, the equation is modified as dp upon dt is equal to delta H transition upon T in bracket V2 minus VL, or dp upon dt is equal to delta H transition upon T Vs minus VL, where delta H transition is the heat of transition. Then next we see the Clausius-Clapeyron equation. dp upon dt is equal to P delta H vaporized vapor upon RT square, since VV is equal to RT upon P, where vapor obeys ideal gas law. That means PV is equal to nRT is the ideal gas equation. Most important, the ideal gas equation PV is equal to nRT. This is known as Clausius-Clapeyron equation. Integrating this equation between the limits of vapor pressure P1 at T1 and P2 at T2 gives log of P2 upon P1 is equal to delta H vaporization T2 minus T1 upon 2.303 R T2 T1. This form of Clausius-Clapeyron equation may be used to calculate the heat of vaporization of a liquid if its vapor pressure at two temperatures are known. Also, if the heat of vaporization and vapor pressure at one temperature is known, the vapor pressure at another temperature can be calculated. Both Clausius and Clausius-Clapeyron equation are also useful in calculating the theoretical values of the molar boiling point and elevation constant and molar freezing point depression constant for dilute solutions. Some of the pharmaceutical useful thermodynamic equations are delta G is equal to minus RT ln K, where G is the change in free energy, R is the gas constant, T is the temperature in K, and K is the equilibrium constant. The following equation can be used to find H, that means the heat of reaction when K1 and K2 are available at two temperatures T1 and T2. The equation is log K2 upon K1 is equal to delta H upon 2.303 in bracket T2 minus T1 upon T1 into T2, and G naught and S naught, that means change in free energy and entropy, can be calculated by using the equations are the delta G naught is equal to delta H naught minus T delta S naught, and second equation is delta S naught is equal to delta H naught minus delta G naught upon T. So here the end of this topic thermodynamics. Hope you like this topic thermodynamics. So in review the lesson we see the various laws of thermodynamics, that means first law of thermodynamics, then next we see the second law of thermodynamics, and next we see the third law of thermodynamics. These all laws are very important for your theory and also for GPAT examination. And also we see the Gibbs energy and Gibbs Helmholtz equation and also Clapeyron equation and Clausius-Clapeyron equation. So in this way we completed this chapter thermodynamics. Hope you like this chapter and this video. So please, if you like this video, please like this video and please share to your friends. And also for GPAT aspirants and also who are prepared for MST CET exam and also for NIPER exam, please send this video. And also do not subscribe my channel, then please subscribe our channel, and please like, share and subscribe my channel, and also comment on this topic thermodynamics. If you like this topic, please comment below in comment section. Thank you for watching our lecture. Then next we see 3 more lectures which are very important for GPAT examination from physical pharmacy. So thank you. So meet next video. Thank you. Welcome students to our new YouTube channel Pharmatech, the division of excellence. Let's start to our new chapter, that means chapter number 7, thermodynamics. In that, first we study what is thermodynamics. That means the definition of thermodynamics. The thermodynamics is the study of behavior of energy flow in natural systems. The laws of thermodynamics